Bootcamp's funding scheme was started in 2024, and it is supported by Creative Europe Media. You all know the broader context. It is that Europa Cinemas has seen a phenomenal growth the past years, but cinemas are also facing unforeseen challenges. And Europe is fragmented in terms of local, regional, and national development. These bootcamps are trainings, professional trainings that are organized by network members to network members. So basically, you organize a training and we give you the financial and technical support to do so. So how to get started? Ask why is a training needed and what will you do with it? And then once you have an idea, read the guidelines, draft your project, find your participants and experts, and apply. As simple as that. When you are drafting a project, remember that we are looking for practical, solution-oriented trainings. So it's not a conference, it's not an industry meeting, it's not a theoretical approach. And remember also that it is ultimately about your local and concrete needs. Of course, eventually, all of this will carry out to a full range of Europa Cinemas activities. We also hope to see some Collaborate to Innovate projects coming out of these trainings. But at the beginning, it's really your needs and what the cinemas need. Here is a list of some ideas, some themes that you can explore. These are just some examples, of course. So projects that cover areas that are not mentioned here are the most welcome. You just need to show us that they respond to a recognized specific need. Remember, the trainings need to be something that gives the participants concrete tools. So, for example, instead of imagining a 5-day event that covers like 5 aspects of these themes, choose one that really concerns you, and then think even inside that theme, what concrete elements will you need to go further? All the information about the application process is already on our website. I hope you have read the guidelines. But basically, you need to have your project and make sure you reach the criteria. And then you can apply. It's a rolling annual fund, so you can apply at any time this year. You have until October 22, because you need to send your applications 10 weeks before the training is supposed to take place. Of course, the annual fund will be kept open until then, provided that we still have budget left. If we run out of budget, we close earlier. This year we have 180,000 euros to this funding scheme. So send your applications at latest 10 weeks before the event. You are most welcome to send them earlier, 6 months before, 4 months before. It will make everything easier for you and for us. What is needed in the application? We will see this in a minute, but be reassured it's a really straightforward application process. Basically, you will have to think about the things that you would have to think about even if you were organizing this training alone without us. And once the project is submitted, then we will examine it and we will get back to you 4 weeks before the training at latest. And then if the project is accepted, you will need to organize the training, report to us afterwards, and then the payment will be made after the examination of the invoices. So yes, you will have to anticipate the costs. What is requested in the application form? Description of the project, experience of the coordinators, venue details, experience of the experts and moderators and why you chose them, details of the participants and why you chose them, your budget. There's a budget Excel sheet that you can find online, the project timeline and measurable targets. We will ask at least 2 measurable targets. Basically, these are objectives to the training that you wish the participants will put in place after the training. An idea about that is that we will have the 6-month reporting after, 6 months after the training. So you can use that as a good tool to have at least one of the measurable targets correspond to that. So within 6 months of the training, all participants have put in place social media tools on Instagram, for example. There are eligible costs and non-eligible costs. Eligible costs include venue, experts, their fees and costs, support materials if you need, streaming accommodation if you need, subsistence for all attendees, lunch and coffee breaks, coordination and staff costs. There are some specific rules regarding to that, so please check the guidelines. Cost of hiring a facilitator if you need, and translation if you need translation. Basically, the trainings are to be done in the local language so that everyone, even those people who cannot participate in conferences, can participate. But if you have an expert coming from abroad, you might need translation. Non-eligible costs are transportation for the participants to the event, any staff or other costs that are not directly linked to the event, activities that you already get funding for, and additional activities that are not directly linked to the training but can be organized during the training. This will be dinner costs, film screenings, cocktail parties, all extracurricular activities. We have some questions that we often receive. So what does it mean that the training should be local or regional? It can be a country level. It can also be on a smaller scale if you have, for example, a region in the country that has specific problematics, or on the country level if you have cinemas that share the same problematics, for example, being cinemas that are ran mostly by volunteer workers. It can also be between several countries. 2 years ago, we had a Baltic data training because the Baltic countries shared the same problematics related to data. What matters is that you have the same problematics. How many participants should I have really? Well, the quick answer is the minimum number, but the longer answer and mostly accurate answer is what makes sense. So it depends on the chosen theme, the budget, the hoped outcome, how the participants are chosen. So if you're asking us 20,000 euros and you have the minimum number of participants to a theme that other cinemas would be considered by, then we might ask to reconsider the concept. How many days should the bootcamp last? It depends. We have not put down any strict rules on that. So not too long to exhaust the people, but not too short either to deep dive into it. To give you an idea, last year we had mostly events that lasted 2 days, but it went from 1 to 3.5 full days. And regarding the number of participants, last year it ranged from 6 to 20 cinemas, Europa cinemas, member cinemas, and from them 10 to 30 participants. And the total number of cinemas, including also the non-Europa cinemas, ranged from 10 to 22 cinemas and from 16 to 60 participants. What is the maximum budget? We do not have one. Again, it depends on the scale of the project, the per person costs, the targets, the number of participants, the general costs in your country. Again, it comes to what makes sense. Last year, the per person costs ranged from 370 euros to 750 euros for Europa Cinemas participants. And the average provisional budget covered by us was 11,000. So it depends. Who should I invite as experts? Again, it's up to you. Just make sure that they know your realities beforehand, your biggest struggles, what you want to achieve with the training. It can be industry professionals, it can be people who are specialized in something like social media, but do not necessarily know cinema industry. It can be exhibitors from other countries or your country who have done something great within the theme that you have chosen. Now, just a few examples, all the examples of the trainings that took place in 2024 and 2025. This is to give you a little idea. all this information, like the list is available on our website. There is also presentations of the 2025 4 project. 25 will come soon. There is also the network reviews where the past 4 network reviews have covered the bootcamp scheme. So take a look at that. These are the 2024 projects, and these are the 25 projects. In the 25, you can see that there are 2 coordinators who organize the training also the past year. And then again, it's okay if you have something new to add and if you can show us that the training has had an impact the past year. So last year we had themes around audience engagement, social media for social media representatives of the cinemas, loyalty tools, use of data in the cinemas, communication, more precisely in the programming, and content creation, event organization, and loyalty building through that. You are most welcome to be creative in the themes, but also in the way that you think about the training. We have the guidelines to give you an idea, but you can think outside of them too. To give you 2 examples of that kind of creativity is that last year we had 1 training that lasted a little over 3 days, full days, but it was set in a time lapse of 3 months. And this was a concept that worked really well, especially for the follow-up of putting in place what has been learned. Karo will tell about it in a minute. Another idea that we found very interesting last year was there was a training in Austria where they made a survey beforehand to kind of get to know the set of skills the participants had. And that way they split the group into 2 parts for some of the training to make sure that everyone had relevant training for their skill level. So that was also a good idea. Lastly, if you have any questions about the trainings, you can of course contact me, but you can also contact the coordinators. They will be happy to talk to you about the process from their point of view and what they put in place and how. Now, just a little statistics from the 24 boot camps, just to give a little bit of encouragement. We saw that what we wanted to put in place, we wanted to reach people who do not necessarily participate in Europa Cinemas activities, and it is working. We have participants who have never done anything in the range of our projects or events. Most of them find the overall experience of the training good or very good, and they learn something new, and they think just when they were asked just after the training, most of them thought that the training will have a positive impact on their everyday work. Then 6 months after, we went to knock on their email doors and we asked what they have put into place. The bootcamp had a positive impact on the daily work of most of the participants, and most of them had put something into practice in their cinemas, either few aspects or several aspects. When they were asked what challenges they have identified in putting into action the skills they have learned, what came up the most was lack of time, lack of staff, and lack of money, and that before the lack of skills. So that's a good idea, a good thing, because that means that they have learned, they have skills, but you should be taking into account when thinking about the follow-up of the training that there is these realities of lack of time, lack of staff, and lack of money. Now, after a few words of encouragement, a few words of advice, we asked the coordinators what advice they would give to someone who would want to organize a bootcamp training. And this is what they replied. Well, get familiar with the term bootcamp. It's a practical workshop-like event. Find the right target group for your chosen theme, people who are motivated enough not to cancel on you or last minute, or then find the participants and define together what they need. Discuss in depth with the participants their problematics, get to know the landscape to offer something that's really hands-on and that can be applied in the cinemas. Plan ahead early. Select a date that gives you enough time to not to rush, and choose your budget precisely. Choose a focused and precise topic and have enough practical segments. So let the participants participate. Those concrete tools will come from the chosen subject, but also of the fact that the experts know your needs and they can give a deep dive into the subject. Those of you who have participated in, for example, our labs or conferences, you know that in those moments, we often ask people to take 5 or 15 minutes to present a project. And that's great because that gives you time for many people to participate and present their projects and what they have put in place in cinemas. But you often get the result of their project. Here you can have an expert for 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, so they can really get a deep dive into the practical tools of how they put this project into place and help you understand what you could do in your cinemas. So choose wisely your expert and make sure that they know the realities. It might be a good idea to provide some material in advance for the participants to get them into this idea that they will have to participate, not just listen. Make sure that on the level of participants, everyone know that they need to participate through the whole training. And if you have last-minute cancellations, make sure you have some sort of waiting list of participants so that you don't end up with significantly less participants that you initially planned. And then follow up thoroughly after the training. Make sure that the experts share their slides, consider recording some of the segments, make sure the dialogue and learning continue. Ultimately, the idea is that you are creating these little communities, if they do not already exist, on local level. And if you make sure that there is some sort of follow-up, these communities might live longer. Lastly, know that even though this is your work to do, Europa Cinemas is here to help and advise you at any stage of the bootcamp. So really feel free to contact me if you have any questions at any stage. Thank you for your attention.